Hey guys, this is Richie. I'm here at the demo lab at Mason Music Studios here in Birmingham, Alabama. And today we are going to be looking at the Dual Terror from Orange amplification. This is a really neat little amp that comes from their Tiny Terror that they made about 15 years ago. It's got, as the name implies, 2 channels in it. And today we're just going to do kind of a quick walkthrough and give you an idea of some of the tones that you can get from this. So I'll give you an idea of what all I'm working through besides the Dual Terror. Down here I'm working with the PPC 212 Orange cabinet. And I'm working with a Fender Telecaster. It's got some Peter Florence pickups in it. So it's got a little extra bite compared to a normal Telecaster, but it'll still give you a really good idea of the tones that you can get from the Dual Terror. So the first thing I want to mention is with the dual channels, we also have some modifications from the original Tiny Terror unit that they made a while back that was a little bit limited in wattage. They've opened that up a little bit more now. So if we go all the way to the left over here, of course you see your power switch, two-way switch, nothing novel about that. It's still just an on and off switch. But over here, we do have a unique function. We have an output switch, 3-way. In the middle, you have a standby function, which just allows you a nice little mute if you want to swap guitars in and out or readjust some settings. But more importantly, towards the bottom and towards the top, you have half and you have a full function. And what this does, especially in conjunction with a switch on the back, is it allows your wattage to open up a little bit more. So you can hear on the back, there's a switch. This switches the tubes that are inside. There are 4 EL84s inside that really will crank up when you get this thing maxed out. But what you can do is with the switch at the back, you can go from using either all 4 of those, or you can go to 2 of them and kind of reduce that and get a really clean, quiet sound at home if you want to stay a little bit lower in volume. So if you go onto the half, 2 output tubes at the back, and then come to the front again, and go to the half, you're working with 7 watts, okay? So a really nice quiet sound. Your breakup comes a lot quicker, okay? But let's say you want to boost it up a little bit. If we go all the way up to the full with that, with the 2 tubes running, we now have 15 watts. So we've got plenty to work with at that point and get really loud and crunchy. But let's say later on you want to head to a gig and you really need some more power to kind of stand out, especially if like you're a guy that's just going to plug right into the amp and you want to use this to its fullest potential. So you might go at the back here and go back to the 4 tubes being kind of engaged and giving you all the power it's got. There's also a big beefy transformer in there kind of helping push all of that too. So this has a lot of wide range to work with. You can get really clean, you can get a little nice tight crunch, you can get some really loose kind of distorted gains, or you can get full out highly saturated thick distortion from this thing. So it's a really helpful tool to have if you're touring or even if you're in the studio. It gives you a lot of availability. So what we're going to do is we're just going to show you a few settings through the 2 channels. Over here, all the way to the right, we have the Tiny Terror and the Fat channel selector. So what you just heard a moment ago was the Tiny Terror, and we're just going to play another little snip from that, kind of showing you some chords. This has a little bit of an overdrive at the end of it, so you get an immediate sense of a somewhat clean sound, but a little breakup at the end. So I'm going to go to my middle selection here on my Telecaster and play you just a little bit of some chords and picking to kind of show this tone. So you can hear on that Tiny Terror channel, just not very much breakup at all, just slightly. Really a little bit more clean standing out, but just giving you a good instance of the loud volume you can get out of it. My gain's at about 11 o'clock, the volume's right around the same area, and the tone's up just a little past 12 at around 1 o'clock. So kind of a mid-range thing there going on. And what we'll do next is we'll go ahead and go to the Fat channel. And what the Fat channel does it has, as the volume kind of increases, there's a treble kind of roll off. So the bass response is a little bit more kind of heard on this channel. So it allows you to do a little bit more things on the fretboard if you're playing live or you have a different guitar setup that you want to use with some pedals. What we're going to do is go to that fat channel, and I'm going to go ahead and knock the volume back down a little bit. Actually, I'm going to keep the volume up on this one and go ahead and give you just a purely clean sound. The gain's actually down pretty good, so this one will have an even cleaner sound, but because the fat channel has the bass roll off and has a little bit more bite to it, it actually breaks up a lot quicker. So this will be somewhat similar to the sound we just heard, but it'll give you an idea of what we can work with. I'm going to play a little bit more on the bass strings on this one to give you an idea of what that sounds like. So there's my signal right there. So you can hear that really clean sound coming through on that fat channel, but it really stands out, and it's not quite overdriven just yet because the gain is fairly far down, but you can already probably hear that you can get a lot out of it. So we're going to go ahead and test it while we're on the fat channel now, and just go ahead and boost that gain up, back the volume down a little bit so we're not blowing ourselves away right yet. And we're just going to go ahead and increase and get to a really kind of crunchy sound. Kind of straight ahead rock here. So we're going to bypass right now. We've kind of heard a crunchy sound on this on the Tiny Terror. We're going to go ahead and hear just a really nice, thick, kind of distorted sound. I'm going to switch to my neck pickup. So I'll have a little bit more buzz, but we'll have a little bit more kind of gritty sound too. So I'll play like a classic rock style riff here. So you can hear there, that overdrive is really starting to kick in from those tubes, from that gain kind of being turned up a little bit. And I've got the tone up pretty high on there too. So you know that if you kind of work with that tone, you can kind of zap some of the color out, some of the high frequencies out if you so wish to kind of back the tone off. But you can already see the power that the fat drive has. Really helpful tool. So what we'll go ahead and do is go back to the Tiny Terror, and we're going to go ahead and crank up the gain pretty high, back the volume back down again. I'm going to crank the gain up really high on this one and get a really thick, nasty kind of sound, heavy distortion kind of sound that'll give you an idea of what this thing can do on the Tiny Terror channel. So you can hear that distortion really starting to sing at that point. The gain is up pretty high, and that's what the Tiny Terror was originally intended to do, just get that really thick saturated sound, and you can hear the buzz coming through with the bridge pickup and the gain up really high. But that just kind of scratches the surface for you of the dual terror and shows you what availability you might have with it, whether you're at home practicing and you want to keep things really quiet, or you want to go to a gig and really shatter the windows. This amp can pretty much do it, and it's a really helpful tool to have in your rig. So really good amp to try out maybe if you're ever in the Birmingham area and want to visit one of our studios. This or some other fine Orange products are at your fingertips to kind of demo with your own equipment. And if you're not in the studio or around Birmingham to visit one of the studios, you can perhaps visit our website at masonmusicrocks.com and check out some things there. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe to our channel. And if you have any comments, if you tried the dual terror out yourself or have one, leave us some comments and let us know what you think. Until next time, I'm Richie. This is Demo Lab.